Hi, I'm Nicole, co-director of the Psychosocial Safety and Leadership Institute, and I am excited to be chatting with Dr. Darren Morton from the Lift Project. We're going to have a chat about who Darren is, what the Lift Project offers, why this work matters, and how you can connect with him if you'd like to learn more. Darren, thank you so much for being part of the collective.
It is lovely to be here with you, Nicole. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. And for people who might not have met you before, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. Oh, my background, that's a checkered past. But long story short, I actually come from an education background and feels like a previous life now. But my current role, I'm actually a professor at Avondale University. I'm the director of the Lifestyle Medicine and Health Research Centre. I've been at the university here for 31 years. So very interested in this bigger topic called wellbeing. And really what's grown out of my research and my work is this thing called the Lift Project, which I'm
Mhm.
excited about.
Can you tell us about that? What is the Lift Project and what do you offer?
Yeah, so going back probably about 15 years ago, a lot of our work and research was really focused on physical health,
Mm,
helping people with diabetes and heart disease.
yeah.
And I just had in my heart this strong gut sense that the next big pressing problem was going to be mental health. And what we were seeing at the time is the emergence of a lot of, really good evidence-based things that people can do to feel better than they do. And it
Mm,
was emerging from sort of disparate disciplines, and that, the positive psychology was becoming a thing, lifestyle medicine, which is really where I'd been part of my home. Consider my home now, neuroscience. And so we had these disciplines which were contributing a whole lot to this dialogue about what people can do to lift their mood in their life, but they
mhm,
were a bit siloed. And so really what the Lift Project was all about is bringing all of these learnings together into
mm.
one, what we refer to as an educational adventure, where people get to learn for themselves and experience these things that can help them to, really, I know it's so cheesy to say this, but to live their best life, to actually be in a better place emotionally,
Yeah.
so that they can do their best work and make their best contribution as well.
I love that. And that's why we are so aligned in the work that we're doing. And it's why I love having these conversations because your website is incredible. But to hear that from you, like that just makes sense in, 20 seconds or whatever you've shared that there. And your background and history is amazing and kind of set you up for developing and sharing this project. And can you share a little bit about what makes the approach or service unique?
Yeah. So you know what? I think at the moment, this is the big pressure point. Like we have, take Australian culture at the moment. We have 1 in 7 Australian adults taking antidepressants each day. And, obviously medication has an important role to play, but what we know, and for me, this is a sign that there are many, many people that are really struggling, with their mental health and well-being. And what we know is that there are many good lifestyle based things that people can do, with how they use their bodies, with how they use their brains, that can actually help them to feel a lot better than they do. And in fact, some of these strategies are as efficacious as medication in their own right. So, and it's interesting if we look at, what the psychology societies, the psychiatry societies are now advocating. They're
Yeah.
saying that it's these approaches that should be front line. This is what we should be leading with. And
Yeah.
so yeah, look, I'm super passionate and very excited and biased, of course, that this is the approach we need to be taking, because it's the right thing to do,
Yes.
but it's also the smart thing to do too, from a business perspective. But what we've done with the Lift project, we have about a dozen academic publications. We've run randomized control trials. So I'd say
Mm,
one of the key things that sets the Lift project apart is
mm,
this is evidence based. We know that when people engage with this, they experience meaningful improvements in their mental health metrics,
mhm,
as well as satisfaction with life, as
mhm.
well as productivity. And so, the one defining quality about the Lift Project is it's highly evidence based. It's not fluffy, sort
Yeah.
of nice things to do. This is solid science here. The other thing I think that's really unique about the Lift Project is that it's very multidisciplinary. in that
Mm,
it's drawing together all of the strategies that we know that can be helpful. And what we know is that different strategies work for different people. So
mm,
this is a really nice way to sort of it's what we call universal prevention in the sort of academic literature. This is something that we can offer to everyone. And here's perhaps one of the most exciting things about the LIFT project is when we've collected, we've had we're getting on to 60,000 participants worldwide now. So it's very, it's used around the globe. In fact, it's even certified by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine.
yeah.
What's been so fascinating to see is that whilst this is a positively orientated program, and I would say
Mm,
that's another defining quality of the LIFT project. This is not about targeting people and identifying and saying, hey, you need to do a mental health program,
mm,
which instantly people, when you hear the word mental health, they actually think of mental ill health, right?
yes.
And so really the focus of the LIFT project, as even captured in its name, the LIFT project, you know what? Even if you're an 8 out of 10 on the feel good ladder, I'm sure you'd love to be a 9 out of 10. So everything about it is aimed in a positive way, which means it's stigma free to participate in. But here is the exciting thing. When we collect the data, what we find is the people who get the biggest lifts are those that are lowest on the mental health continuum.
Mm,
So what this means is, and I think this is where true prevention starts to come to the fore, is that we know that there are things we can do and offer to everyone, right? And we've done this in workplaces. We've had in the United States, we've had workplaces of 9,000 employees that have all been registered because
mm,
there's no, it's not, we're not pinpointing, we're not picking on anyone here. This is a genuine positive offering,
mm.
a wellbeing offering, but the people who need it most, they're the ones that benefit the most. And to me, that's a really exciting paradigm to move forward with.
Yes, I love all of that, and it makes me excited as well.
Good. Yeah.
And the evidence, there's so many programs out there, but
Yeah.
not a lot of them have evidence, and they feel good, they're fluffy, as you said, and it's like, well, should we be doing this? Why should we be doing this? How should we be doing this? And
Mm.
there's so much out there that there's almost too much out there, and you don't even know where to start. So
Yeah.
if you're going to
Yeah.
start somewhere,
Yeah.
start where it works.
Where it works, that's right. Look, in my biased opinion, so I acknowledge that for what it is, but I think what the LIFT project is a framework um,
Mhm.
that's engaging. Right, we get rave reviews from it. You can just jump on our website and you see we've got thousands of testimonials there. But it's an engaging way for people to be exposed to all of the things we know that can help and lift their mental fitness, their mental well-being. Um, and I think we have a unique way of a model, and this has been a lot of learning over the years of how to allow it to have its best impact. And what we've found in workplaces in particular, obviously it's accessible online, but we actually, it becomes, if done well, a platform for bringing people together to connect over something positive. And
Yeah.
we've run it in workplaces where we've had the CEO later say to us, this was literally culture changing for us, because we have a lot of online workers. I've got some workers in 4 countries now, but it was a reason to bring them together, and they're supporting each other. They've learned more about each other. We have a team, and so yeah, I think in my biased opinion, I know I keep making that caveat there, but I think it's a lovely way to make a meaningful difference, to
Yeah.
connect and engage employees with something that matters.
Amazing. And you should be biased because it's your baby, right?
It is. Yeah. It's not quite a baby anymore too, which is a nice thing. It's getting it's growing.
Yeah. And why is this work important to you?
Well, no, we could talk for a long time, but
Mhm.
look, in all honesty, this is just the right thing to do. It
Yeah.
is the right thing to do. I feel I'm super passionate about people knowing that there are things they can do to feel better than they do.
Yeah.
And when you can empower people with that, every aspect of their life improves, and including their work life and their work performance. But you know what? They spread that. One of the things they've got little catchy titles for a lot of the topics that we explore in the Lift Project. There's blue and green should often be seen, which looks at nature medicine. Fascinating work being done there. Obviously, motion creates emotion, so we talk about activity. there's rest to feel your best. We actually culminate with some of the deeper aspects of well-being too, and what the science is about that. We call it eudaimonic well-being. So one of our later lessons is called giving is living. And we
Mm.
actually look at how giving back, and actually having a service orientation makes a huge difference to people's well-being. But anyway, one of the other lessons is called Together Feels Better. And what we explore in that is the research showing that when people are in a better place, they spread that, right? And actually, the science is quite compelling in this regard. And this is published in very reputable journals. But we know that people's emotional state, good or bad, spreads 3 degrees of separation.
Mm.
So they spread that to their direct contacts, but then they spread it to their contacts and then their contacts. So we actually influence the friends of our friends' friends. Right? So
Yes.
imagine what that means in a workplace environment. But for me, where my heart is at just giving people a lift, I love the idea that I know that if I can do something to actually, give someone a bit of a boost, then they spread that, right? And the potential to have really large scale impact and, shift the dial a little bit
Yeah.
on the collective well-being of the world potentially. That's what keeps me going.
Well, it's not potentially. The evidence is there. It's the ripple effect. It's the
Yes.
happy people create healthy environments. And
Yes.
yeah, it's incredible the ripple effect that we can have, positive or negative, and giving tools to support people for that is exactly what you're doing. And what kind of organization and leaders do you enjoy working with most?
The LIFT project rolls out in 4 different channels. So we actually do work in the medical establishment. So the LIFT project, because it's so highly evidence-based, is actually used in medical clinics for people who, are challenged with mental health conditions. So we have a medical channel that we use it in. I'm very passionate about schools, and so we have a curriculum package, and we have schools and universities that use LIFT project and teach it to the younger people
Yeah.
because this is to my mind it's wellbeing 101 where we all need to know these things. We have a community channel where we've actually run very large scale programs for like an entire community or county in the United States. I think in Australia here, we've had programs where, like the Sunshine Coast Council offered it. We had 4,000 residents all participating simultaneously, which was so cool. I'm in the Lake Macquarie area. Our local mayor hosted it for our community. We had about 3,000 people all participating at the same time. So we've got that. We've got medical, schools, community, and then the corporate setting. And look, we've run it for white collar, blue collar, so different industries, and it's well received. I don't know that I have a favorite. I think
Yeah.
for me, people are people, and I just want to give them a lift. And so yeah, I don't have any favorites, I'd say.
Well, and you're impacting everyone everywhere because we're not a work person, we're not a school person, we're not a community person. We are that in all of it. And when you were talking about schools, I was
Yeah,
thinking, well, that helps the workplace anyway. If you can have
yeah,
happier kids and kids with tools like 101, there is a lot of things that need to be introduced in schools that are 101.
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that, and and I completely agree. In fact,
Mm.
when we've run, because we actually have the ability to create like a white labeled version of the program for large organizations. And
Awesome.
when we do that, we actually run it not just for the employees, but we invite their family members as well. So we actually say, we care who you care about, but what
Mhm.
we know is that if you can influence family life, you influence work life. And if you influence work life, you influence family life. So there's a very strong synergy there. So yeah, we're very deliberate and quite intentional about doing that as well.
That's pretty incredible because that is life changing. I speak to a lot of people about psychosocial safety and they sometimes have not so great work life, but their home life is fantastic. And then there's the opposite as well.
Yeah.
So home
Yeah.
life might not be so great, but work life is fantastic. And then you get the ones where neither is great. So to
Yeah.
have a tool that actually crosses that
Yeah.
boundary is so relevant and helpful. And actually, we need to be doing more of that in so many different areas.
You know, one of my favorite things, sometimes when we get feedback all the time. We conduct, post-program evaluations, and one of the things that warms my heart the most is when I read from someone, an employee who says, "Oh yeah, I started doing this, and then we were encouraged to share it with our families, and then my wife started doing it with me at home, and then we now walk together and we talk about and debrief." And I think, oh, I love this. I love this. What's even better though is because we know that when you look at engagement with wellbeing initiatives, it's typically female bias. So often you'll find when you roll out a workplace initiative, wellness initiative, often it's about two-thirds. Females are a lot more open and receptive to these things. And I love it when I read stories about Betty, who says that, oh, so I was at home and Frank looked over my shoulder and was watching, and he said, "What's that about?" And then I chatted with him, and then he started watching with me, and now we're doing this and doing this. And I think, yes, I got to Frank. I got to Frank. So yeah, I love that. I love that idea. We always together feels better. As I said, it's lesson 4 in the Leaf Project. We need each other to be our best and do our best. And so having ways to bring people together and connect them and support each other on our wellbeing journeys, it's essential.
Definitely. And you've removed the stigma, which is why guys are like, hey, I'm not doing a thing to fix me. I'm doing a thing to improve, to grow, to lift. Uh,
Yeah, and I mean, we could talk for days about this in its own right, but engaging males is there are deliberate strategies you can use to try and do that. And one thing I do is like, and I'm the key presenter in the program, but I go and actually interview experts and all the rest of it. But I also do a lot of adventurous things, like even topic 1, I'm off hang gliding, so that and for males, that's another way of going, oh. And one other thing, actually, this is another, there's been a lot of thought, and a lot of factors that we've built into, and even from a behavior change perspective, we've sort of leveraged a lot of the behavioral models in
Mhm.
there. But one thing I think that also sets Lift apart a bit, it's not just about telling people what to do. I actually show people why they work. So we actually look at this is how your brain is wired, right? So, and we find males often connect with that really nicely. And
Yeah,
obviously everyone does, but the engineering type sort of accounting brain is like, now
yeah.
I get why that works, and they can connect the dots. People are a whole lot more inclined to do the what when they understand the why. And so, yeah, so I'd say that's another defining quality. I love the science, and I love understanding why it works, and that certainly resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah, you can't just tell people do this. Like
Mm.
you need to know what's the benefit, what's the risks, what's actually going to change. And that is incredible because yeah, you're right. The analytical brains see it for, well, what's the point?
Yeah,
Everyone's busy. So we
yeah,
want to know what's going to be the outcome. And
yeah,
we wholeheartedly agree with building community and having connection and connecting people to the right people and raising the bar. And that's exactly why we created the Psychosocial Safety Institute, the community,
yeah.
and the collective, which is what we're so excited that you're a part of. And what is the best way for the community and others to connect with you and find out more?
Yeah, so just go to our website. It's www.theliftproject.global. And there's all the information there. And certainly we would love to hear from you and share some information about how we could help lift your community.
Fantastic. And we will include in your corporate partner directory profile as well, all of the links to your website and to chat and to email and all that sort of stuff too. And I know that we're going to have a workshop on that for the community to actually dive into the LIFT project. So
Mm.
super excited about that
Yeah.
one as well. But just wanted to say again, a huge thank you for being part of the collective, for everything that you've done over the decades as well. It really is making an impact, and we are all about being able to profile and lift that and lift you and the work that you're doing to be able to support more people. So
Oh, thank
thank
you
you,
so
Darren.
much, Nicole. No, thank you for what you guys are doing. I think this is just a fantastic and much needed initiative.
Yeah, thank you, Darren. Appreciate it.